Hi, this is Future Sanity taking a break from Hollow Knight, even though I admittedly want to play more. I kind of want to get all the achievements before Silksong comes out, which I'm guessing is probably next year, but honestly, whenever it comes out is fine. I do want Team Cherry to take their time and make an excellent game. More to the point though, this speed paint is going to be the backdrop for me talking about the Experience series. This is Ghost and Grinchild all grown up and sharing a proper dance, not one that ends in me being dead. While that's going on, I do want to talk about not just the bosses, but some of the edits and artwork that went into this, maybe answer any lingering questions some may have. So let's first talk about the pantheons and the bosses here. These marathons are no joke, and honestly I have a hard time accepting that I managed to do that after a month and a half or so. I honestly thought that the Pantheon Hallowness is going to take me a lot longer to complete, but I really lucked out on her second phase, and also clutching Zode after a lot of unfortunate mishaps leading up to him, and then bullshitting my way past MKG. I might as well start with him as he was the first in the series. He holds a bit of a special place because he taught me what to be prepared for going into the Pantheons. I am a Dark Souls player, so I was used to dying over and over again till I got good, so to say. I just wasn't prepared for how much double damage just wrecks you so fast, and just how you'd be nearly perfect. What was recorded in that video was only 5 attempts I made that morning, and I recorded it just for the hell of it, but then turned into a whole thing. Honestly, that run wasn't the greatest with overhealing and bad charms, but I just got into the rhythm and managed to hold out until the end. At the time, I was just happy to finally get it, as I spent days trying to kill him and get the child and say I beat the fucker. And then that video got a lot more attention than I was expecting, which led into all the other ones. NKG is also a boss, it's hard, but I never felt like he was bullshit, unlike Apsarat. Every time I die, I was like, okay, fair, and that's good boss design. Yes, you can be frustrated, but it always felt like I still wasn't good enough, or I know I made a major mistake. It doesn't feel unfair, and I can say the same with Pure Vessel, or Holly as I like to call them. Honestly, my advice is to watch other players do it and just practice. Once you get his timings down, it will lead to other victories. Skipping over some of the experience videos to the first Pantheon, it is definitely a pushover as you can imagine, and save the second. These are ones to practice new builds and bindings on. The bosses are a lot more challenging when you suddenly can't kill ads in one hit with your nail or can't cheese it with spells. It will teach you how to play differently and make you a better player overall. Those bindings made me really appreciate spells a lot more, and I use them much more after Pantheon 3. They are way too useful, and I was seriously sleeping on them. Although it is hard to untrain yourself to hold on to that soul to heal, and instead be much more aggressive to prevent damage in the first place. The new bosses too are a lot of fun. Oro and Mato are easy when you know how their AI works, and Shio you just need to learn all his tells and what color will do what. They're a lot of fun, and I adore that detail of the paint decorating the area in Shio's fight. It's just a nice touch. Going into P3, that's where things really did shift. Suddenly I was having issues with the bosses. God Tamer was a big one. I don't know what it was. I just struggled so much with that fight. But Umu, even without Grimchild, was giving me trouble. I was having issues with Zote, which is why the Great Prince Zote experience exists. And I even died to Grim once, which I was mad about because I was really good at Grim at that point. Hell, I died to Hornet too a bunch, and that's not even counting Sly, who was bane of my existence. Zippy little bastard should not have had that big of a nail or reach. This is bullshit. It's also when Grinchild kind of became a staple in my runs because people were asking for him in the comment section, and I decided for fun to take him along. After my victory, I decided to keep him along because it was fun to see him murder bosses, and people wanted him, and frankly, so did I. This bit me in the ass during P5, but I'm still very proud I got him to the top. Moving on to P4, this is where I was really tested. I had to get better. There was no cheese options, there was no relying on passive 11 damage. I had to get better in order to beat it. I put in a lot of work on a lot of these bosses to get them down consistent off camera. Well, mostly off camera, because I made the Pure Vessel experience for a damn good reason. I knew they would be hell to learn, but I wouldn't say they were as bad as NKG. It's probably because I knew to expect it, and by then I got a bit better at the game. I died a lot more off camera in practice, and they were definitely the wall when it came to completing P4. Beating them on 1 health was very, very tense, and I was very happy to finally pass that hurdle. P5, of course, is the hardest one. It's one thing to be good at the boss individually, but it's another when you're running a marathon. You're gonna get tired, you're gonna get tense, you're gonna make mistakes. One bad boss could cost the entire run, even if you're good at the next one. Markoth and Zote together was fucking awful, I'm not gonna lie. I seriously wish I just let Zote to die, because False Knight would have been easier to deal with and recover with than Zote. There's all sorts of dumb places I died in the Pantheons because I was thrown off by a bad boss or just made a mistake I could not get myself to recover from. They only get harder too, and that's what makes it so difficult to get the Embrace the Voice ending. If you're not well practiced and well prepared for NKG, PD, and Abzerad, you better kiss your run goodbye because you can't afford to make a lot of mistakes against double damage, and good luck trying to find healing windows. As for the P5 only bosses, Sisters of Battle is easily my favorite of the three. It's just a constant dance trying to hit them while also not getting skewered by the next sister. It demands your full attention and to learn to fight, and not to space tank your way to victory. Once you get the first one down, it's only then you get to breathe and get the chance to heal. Just don't get too complacent or you might die right before the rest stop. Wignosk wasn't all that bad, it's just another vengeful-like king with projectiles that are annoying. You just get the sense of where they're going to land, and once you practice enough, you can even turn into a recovery fight if you have a bad Umu. Not that I would know anything about that. Nope, absolutely not. Absolute Radiance, on the other hand, oh god. It's funny because I love the Nightmare King, but the real nightmare here is this fucking Dream God. I absolutely hate this Dream God. The overlapping attacks can just be bullshit. Some I seriously don't know how to dodge, say for D-Dark, but you better hope you don't yeet yourself into an angry void on the platform phase by doing that. Even still, I practice and practice even more off camera. I wanted to make sure that I could beat her consistently. I failed at this for days because I wasn't sleeping well and I was making a lot of mistakes. And then, after I finally could catch up on sleep, I noticed I killed her about half the time. That was enough to make me return to P5. The time I choked right before the final hit was heartbreaking and I had to stop for a while. It had been hard fought, only 2 masks left for the climb, and I nearly had her, only to fuck up right at the end. I then died to PV and then to the last Markoth Zote combo before finally getting the run I needed. I'm happy I beat her, but also fuck that fight. I'm not doing that again, and later I am going to clown on her normal version. I guess I should also touch on which fights I really liked and which one I didn't. Grim is an obvious choice, both versions for fights I adore. I love Pure Vessel. Sisters of Battle is always fun. I actually like Broken Vessel and Lost Kin despite the latter kicking my ass hard. Or Amato were a lot of fun. I actually quite like both Defender fights now. The difference is honestly optimizing and finding the best ways for myself to beat them. Though I think that could be the same of every boss. Almost every boss. Practicing and learning more how they work by trying different things and seeing what works will help you a lot. As for my least favorite, Umu, as you can imagine, was a special type of hell with my setup. But even without Grinchild, I really don't like the gimmick here. No Eyes 2 is incredibly annoying, Obo Wobbles or whatever their name isn't fun, Elder Who is a waste of my time, and Markoth is... yeah, Zote 2. I'm never saving his ass again. Now for the videos themselves, I'll be mostly touching on the artwork and the animatics. It's a bit funny looking at my first bit of art for the game and also seeing how I've improved and stylized them more to my preference. With NKG, I just wanted to get across that Grim wants you to beat him so you can complete the ritual, and I did want to encourage others that he's beatable, which is also what I tried to do in general near the end of the Abzerad experience and a little bit of the PV experience. The end was supposed to be like Grim popping out of a shadow and nodding approvingly, but I don't like how I can beat it at all. The Trial of the Fool was a me to begin with, so the art reflects it, though I messed up on Grinchild's colors and I can't be bothered to fix it. The White Defender experience was a fun one because I got to explore more how ghosts are set up anatomy-wise and make the soap choke. For those who don't know, in Ultra Kill, you can bypass a gross boss by finding soap and just making it explode with it. I don't know. Hakita is wild. You guys should go play it. I was also talking to my boyfriend at the end who knew what I was up to and also encouraged me to try Pantheons. Now for ghosts, the white I have on their joints and on their chests supposed to be channels for soul magic since they are related to the pale beings. It just shows up much more against the black of their body, and the void would definitely help to channel it. I also gave this trait to Hollow to help further cement their relation, but I didn't give it to Hornet because of her different parentage. The P1 experience starts the trend of starting the video with memes and ending with something much more serious. It started out with wondering why a bush is a god, and ended in my attempt to having ghosts noticing their void heart as a tuning and trying to focus on it. The P2 experience is where I hinted at doing animatics with the dialogue and Hornet at the end, and also follows this formula. It starts with Shio asking ghosts if they want to paint, and of course the little one wants to. Then I imagine Shio told them to paint what they wanted, what mattered to them, and then on canvas they paint their idea instilled of having a family. Something they were denied all their life until they came here. Now going forward, I had to mention a lot of the animatics and themes are based off personal headcanons and playing fast and loose with the lore, so take it with a grain of salt. The Zote experience was all jokes, of course, Zote stealing Bretta, and ghosts wondering how the fuck that happened. Grinchild being woken up from his nap and not being happy about it, all that fun stuff. The P3 experience is where I threw in the first animatic, and honestly I'm really happy it was well received. The idea was that Hornet is semi-aware of what's happening in 3 battles, and as she gets swept into it more and more and hears people talking about having weird dreams, she wants to know answers. She finally gets them as she's accidentally swept up into Ghost's dream thanks to all the bullshit, and can hear their thoughts for the first time, having only silence and action as her source of communication before. She finally has an understanding of her little sibling, and even a bit more of her older one, as she waits outside of the temple. The final image is of sleeping ghosts and the Grinchild, at their adult forms being friends in the shadows. The Period Vessel experience was definitely the most serious of all my videos. I can only joke so much about them dying over and over, and even the thumbnail reflected that. Ghost's goal was ever to save their sibling, and this is the hardest and most rewarding path to do so. To be clear, the lines are their thoughts, not their words. Neither of them are capable of speech thanks to the Pale King, but I'm running with the idea they share a void link, and can hear each other's thoughts in a sense, or at the very least understand each other well. I had to cut out a lot of lines from Holly because I only had so much time in that format. I'm still not entirely happy with it. I did have to be a bit ham-fisted in how Holly feels about their situation because of my restrictions, and I think I could have done better with a couple of the panels, but people seem to really like it anyways, and that's good enough for me. I also imagine at this point Holly's lost a lot of ability to hide how they feel, broken down by Ratty, and this helps them actually communicate a bit better with Ghost. They would not want their sibling getting hurt, they definitely would not want them to face their tormentor, but if nothing is done, then she's going to break out, and she's going to infect everyone, including Ghost. They still have their duty and love to Hallowness and wanting to protect everyone, and so they test Ghosts and make sure they are capable of fighting the one slowly killing them. I also did give them a Void Roar as a symbol of rebelling against their fate by trying to empower their sibling. The end of chorus is the two having a moment before Hollow fades into void and has to return to the living nightmare. A quiet comfort of a moment, as Ghost vows to save them, somehow. The P4 experience is where pieces start coming together. It's where the Radiance starts to realize she's in a lot of trouble, a lot more than before, and is freaking out. I also had Holly doing a bit of a silent laugh at her expense, as I imagine seeing your tormentor scared out of her wits that your rescuer is coming would be rather funny in the moment. I also wish I came with a better line that Hallowness would be mine, because it's a bit misleading into her real intentions, which is infecting and controlling everyone she can to ensure she never dies, and it's less about the kingdom itself and more of getting back at PV, but this is what we got. It's also where we're starting to see the consequences of going down this path, Grin's memory returning and realizing this might not be such a good idea as the void is extremely dangerous. He is, however, stuck for the ride, and being stuck in that tiny body with not a lot of power, and Ghost is probably the only one he trusts to actually keep him alive. The tower was a last-minute idea to show the ascending path becoming a Lord of Shades, but it's still one of my favorites I've ever done. The Grinchild experience was supposed to be just filler because I knew it would take me forever to get to Absaran to beat P5, but then a day later after I started it, I managed to get to her, so that started the second animatic. The start was just a thank you, and I do seriously appreciate the subs and support, and then of course the later animatic was one of my favorites I ever worked on. I did have Grinchild do the Garfield meme for the title card, but then I got to play with the Scarlet Lighting for Grin's powers. I love doing stuff like that. It just made everything pop, and it gave the emotions I wanted. After the sentimental talk, of course, I had to take a moment to remind everyone that this is still the Nightmare King with the corpse line. While he's still scared of failure, it's much more better to be supportive when the time comes. It's more likely Ghosts will be able to have the willpower to hold on to their control, and everything will work out, hopefully. Grimm himself in game never talks about the Radiance, but considering this infection could even escape Hallowness and fuck up his whole ritual, I don't think he'd be too happy with her, but he can't face her alone. He needs Ghost. The Absolute Radiance experience has a much more sketchy style, and that's mostly because of the Shade Lord. I wanted to convey certain expressions, but a lot of it was getting lost in lining things properly, so I went more sketchy. This translated into the animatic, where Radiance managed to get into the fringes of Ghost's mind, only to get kicked out as they show more and more what they're becoming through fighting the Pantheons, through fighting her, and through this entire ritual and attunement. The P5 experience was the one I put the most effort into all around. I did my best to make a joke for each part of the Pantheon, but I ran out of steam for repeat fights I didn't die to. I kept the sketchy style for the Rekindled animatic because it takes place in Ghost's mind and also helps show emotion and make my life much easier. Each line except for Lost Kin was taken from somewhere else and is a line that was meant something to Ghost. Obviously I wrote Holly's line too, but it was taken straight from the P5 experience, or not the P5, the P4 experience. Now, Grimm is able to fully form here because Ghost welcomes him, unlike the Radiance. Once again, Grimm is being supportive and is trying to help Ghost and hopefully help them control the Void when they finally do the deed. The No Height Unreachable poem, of course, is a direct reference to No's costing great speech, change the tune of Ghost's existence, and to be encouraging. I thought about adding lines to the final montage, but I felt like it would take away from it or be too much, so I refrained from doing so and just let the lyrics speak for themselves. I also felt like it was better for the music to speak for the final 5 panels and get across the point far better than I can. I also want to show there were permanent consequences to what Ghost did, where they now have that massive crack in their shell, there's void everywhere in the junk pit, and their body was changed and grown a little with the addition of hands and their new barn shape. Grimchild's split tail is also a sign of his growth, as instead of a tail, it's starting to form his legs. The last 4 panels, of course, are the family's reunion after who knows how long, and though they have a long, hard road ahead, they can now face it together. After that, Ghost and Grimm definitely deserve a rest, and they can finally rest together. Even though that's not canon, most of this isn't, I'm glad I chose this route for the story that came about this. They all honestly deserve a happy ending for all the suffering endured, and since everything's left so open, you can say that perhaps they did. A lot of it came from the decision to keep Grimchild around, and he only enhanced the story chill. So yeah, the child is pretty special, but I still refuse to do Pantheon 5 with him again. There's a lot better charms for it I could have used instead. And in the same vein, I don't think I'll be touching Godseeker stuff for a long time after this too. I think that's mostly what I wanted to touch on. Enjoy the rest of the speed paint, and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the series and I answered some of the questions you may have had about what went into it. It was a lot of fun to make, a lot of work and time, and it's nice to have such a creative outlet, especially as I've been struggling for the last while. I might still do some Hollow Knight videos, and I'm not sure what will come next, to be honest. This has always been a Hollow channel and will continue to be. I definitely have an idea for the Silksong experience whenever that comes out. Either way, I hope you all have a good day, and be well.
信じない今も語りかけた In your heart それでもずっと信じない愚か閉ざしきった愛情が私を悪い魔女にただ駆り立てる彼と夢見た奇跡は奪い去られてただお前も感じているんだろうそれはきっと私たちの瞳あなたの夢は叶わない常に目を覚まして行動ね怯えてもっと信じないそばで見透かされる That in my 奇跡はずっと大きな夢を探し出した黄金も